Okay, we're at phase 2 of the arcade project. I was able to dismantle all of the pieces inside. This represents all of the guts and the buttons and the rat's nest wires that I've got to figure out how to pipe properly. We have our control panel over here, which has been taken down basically to the just down to the plywood. So birch ply with a little routing here, and all of the T-molding has been taken off. Speakers have been taken out. I was able to fill the holes that were in here before with some, it's not called Bondo anymore, it's just body filler, and put a couple of coats of Kilz all-purpose primer, and I've got another coat or two of door and trim satin black that I'm using for the project as a whole. The things that I still have to do is I have this rather large piece of Lexan that I'm going to have to cut and fit here. It's going to go on top of the control panel. That means I'm going to have to drill this many holes and this many large holes. And then there's going to be a piece of Lexan that goes here to kind of mimic the way old arcade machines had a piece of plexiglass in front of the CRT, the tube. A couple other things that I've done. I took the audio board, which was just looked like a piece of brass, and that was fitted in there, and it had a couple of different knobs. And I was able to do some modifications. So I basically introduced a power switch. So before, it basically, when you turned on the cabinet, it came on, and if you left the cabinet on, then it would hum basically all night. So this switch interrupts the power and allows me to keep the cabinet powered but not use the audio system. The front of the panel here, I added some water slide decals. You can see these Class D 2.1 amplifier and the other knobs here. Under them, you'll see that these are water slide decals. A little bit of a gamble, really. You print these on a laser printer, and then you cut them out, and you do like you did in the old days when you were making a model, like a model airplane. You soak it in kind of warm water, and then you'd very carefully slide it on here, and then it would dry. And then I put a coating of it's a matte finish, clear lacquer, basically. And the gamble portion of this is whether or not this is going to tarnish, because it is brass. This is a brass plate, and I used it because I had it. And if you look kind of carefully, I don't know if I can get close enough, but you can see the outline of the water slide decal. And we'll see how this wears over time. You know, it's gonna have its patina like brass tends to. So we'll see. And if it's a fail, then we'll pop it off there and probably paint it black or something and do something else. Other initiatives, the power system before used to be a power strip that I had inside, and it was just basically a wire dangled out of the bottom of it. In fact, this may be the power strip that was in there. This one is the permanent one. It's going to be mounted to the carcass. It's going to go in the back like this. And then what I did is I got a switch from Amazon and Home Depot. Let me put this over here so we can look inside. This is going to go on the outside, which is similar to what you'd see on a computer or a printer or something like that. And this will be how you turn the cabinet off and on. So basically this will go down in this little port right here that I cut out. And then this portion here is going to protect the back so that there's no short along the way. These screws are going to hold it in, but basically that's it. And you can see the old hole where the wire used to go through. So that's and then the power strip's going to be up against the wall, just like that. If I don't drop this. Other initiatives, I changed and added 2 more switches here. I realized that having the save and load state was nice, but I also need start game, end game without having to interrupt and use the anything on the control panel here. I also changed out the joysticks. It turns out after a couple of years of use, these Ultramark 360s, kind of an analog switch, still a bat top controller, it turns out I really do like the traditional clicking switches. It's the same feel and layout, except the spring is much heavier. It still has a bat top, and you can just feel it as it goes around. So that was one of the things I was going to change that out. It wasn't much to get 2 different controllers, and then 2 extra switches to add to the mix. The same guts are going to be used, including the coin drop door, and the only other modification that I made was I widened where the coin doors go in so that it would fit without having to remove the switch on the backside, which was a pain in the butt. And what I mean by that is in order to get this into the machine, I had to actually unscrew that switch right there because it was just too wide. So I widened it. You have to do a little bit of negotiating to get it in there, but that's also an improvement. So where I am right now is I am on the 2nd coat of black, this black satin door and trim. It's coating quite well. I need to do 1 more coat to make sure that I catch all of the inconsistencies. Oh, I did add some vent holes on the top, 5 of these. I got these interesting little cabinet vents that work pretty well. They'll drop in there and they'll tighten down when I bend the tabs, and it'll create a place for the heat to go out. Because once I put the plexiglass on there, it's basically going to become, for all intents and purposes, a sealed area up top here. So having those vents is important so that the fan doesn't run too hard on the all-in-one computer. So the next phase is going to be a little nerve-wracking because this is my 3rd cabinet that I've built, and I refurbished another one. And none of them did I have to deal with plexiglass. That's not plexiglass, it's Lexan. There is a big difference. Lexan and doing all of these little holes. The nightmare scenario is that you put it on here and you get to your however many holes, 6, 12, 13, 14, 15, you get to your 15th hole, or maybe you get here and then you get a crack and you have to start the whole thing over. And that Lexan is not something that you're just going to go out and buy another sheet of without getting a real hit to the wallet. So that's what's going on in phase 2. I'm really looking forward to seeing this project come together. It certainly is strange seeing the machine not being on the wall. Graphics will be next after I get all of the painting and the cutting and the drilling and whatnot along the side here. Yes, I went through all the work of painting this, and then eventually there's going to be a vinyl sheet, a sticky vinyl sheet basically that goes all the way across here. One's going to go across the front, across the side here. And I'm debating whether or not I want to have a vinyl sheet here and here, but for now I'm just going to leave it black. Oh, I do plan on putting a speaker grill here, so drilling 4 holes and treating this like a home speaker that has a fabric and a frame and these little kind of removable pegs, so that the speakers are not only they're hidden, but it prevents people from accidentally poking with their finger, especially because your hands are just so close here. So putting that in some kind of decorative fabric in the front so that it doesn't take away from the aesthetic. And I'll probably need a decal here to go around what we call the bezel, basically. So when the plexiglass is in front here, the monitor's just behind, right about where my hand is. You're going to want to not see all of this kind of the wood and the trim here. So wherever there is a gap between the monitor screen and the wall, you're going to have some kind of vinyl or bezel that's going to block all that. I know it looks like I did a terrible job of painting it, but we've got to keep in mind that the T-molding is going to go here, and you're not going to see any of the stuff once the T-molding gets hammered back in. And I have not put any paint on the control panel because that is going to be a furball. I don't want there to be paint on that while I have plexiglass on top of it sandwiched in my drill press. I'll do the control panel, paint that later. And then of course the control panel will have graphics behind it. The challenge with a control panel is that it's a kind of a sandwich. So once you paint the control panel and you put the graphics on, and then you drop all of the buttons in, the buttons, you know, they look like this basically. It's got like a flared top. So you feed the button in, and once the button is fed in like this, there's no getting it out. So you can imagine that there would be a piece of plexiglass on top of this. You know, there's a piece of graphic between them as well. And then once you feed all of these in, you feed all, however many there are, holes, then this is set. So if you have any boogers between the plexiglass and the vinyl, you have to take the entire thing apart. And that means all of this wiring, all the piping that you do, you will have to undo. So we really want to make sure we get that right on the first go. I experimented with some stuff and kind of called it a fail. I grabbed these little, I think they're covers for electrical work. Like you would put it over your wall, you know, if you had maybe a light switch that you got rid of at some point. And I thought I would put that to look kind of like that, to make it kind of look like a control panel. I don't know, it didn't pass the test with me, and it looks just fine to put the switch in there. And besides, the switch has its like LED lights in it, and so those are whatever, $5 down the drain. But this is it. This is the mess. This is actually the fun part, if you ask me, dealing with all of this and piping this and doing this correctly. I do have coming in the mail, by the way, just as a finer point, if you're getting bored, then I'm almost done. But the switches that are here, here, and here, so that's 4 switches total. These switches need to be interfaced to the interface board, and this interface board is going to be mounted to the underside of the control panel. So you've got this kind of like we saw in the other video where it hinged up and down. Well, there's a lot of wires. So there's 4 for the RGBs, which is the LEDs, so the lights. There's 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 1 for the signal plus 1 for the signal, and you have this like great big bundle of wires, and it has to feed up to the control panel. And I didn't want to make it to where I was going to have that many permanent wires where I could not take the control panel off. So I ordered a DB25 connector, male and female, so that I can basically gather all of these up, put them into what we used to call in the military like a cannon plug. So it's a long wide plug that has 25 connectors on it. I'm going to solder each of them individually. So basically it will be a plug. You'll pop it off, and if I need to take the control panel off to service it or whatever, I don't have to disconnect all of those wires, because you know, as I said before, the buttons go in one way. So they go in this way, and then the wires feed out the bottom. So you can't just pull the wire out without disconnecting all that stuff, and it's soldered. So you can look in here in the some of the work that I did prior. This is all solder work. So disconnecting these things quickly is not an option. So you have to end up cutting things as you go. So I think that's enough rambling on phase 2. We'll keep you updated as we go. The next time I take a video, we should be working on the control panel. But this is the arcade machine that was hanging on the wall, and we're hoping to get this done in good time. And we will see you later.